All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Brushfire Mine because it's 2000 on a Sunday night, and this time we're live on purpose. Woo! So, as you saw in the thumbnail there, we're going to be talking about hashtag release the memo and keep it shut down. Government shutdown? Yes, please. So, all that tonight. Buckle your seatbelts. Okay, sorry I let the title run a little bit longer because I had to take care of something real quick, but here we go. Hey, and I see Ozia Media. Good to see you. That's a new face. Glad to have you here. Do make sure that you're stirring the pudding. Make some comments, cause some problems, piss some people off. It makes for a good show. Now, before we get started on the stuff I promised you, I want to hit you with something that just made me chuckle. The Donald tweeted out, "Beautiful weather all over our great country. A perfect day for all women to march. Get out there now to celebrate the historic milestones and unprecedented economic success and wealth creation that has taken place over the last 12 months. Lowest female unemployment in 18 years. Buddy!" The deepest cuts. I mean, absolute visceral penetration. That is the rectal prolapse of tweets, my friend.
Came in like a wrecking ball.
Priceless. So, I have some opinions about this memo situation. But can you get us, you want to get us started?
So, a lot of credit for this actually belongs to Sean Hannity and a couple of reporters over at Fox News that are actually doing their job, trying to be actual reporters. And for several weeks now, Sean has been having various congressmen on his show, and he's been teasing a huge bomb for a long time. And it's all with regards to the whole Marussia, Donald Trump colluded with Marussia stuff. And what has happened is apparently there is a 4-page memo that a few members of Congress have read that is heartbreaking. Now, up until the members of Congress read this memo, Sean Hannity would have them on his show, and he would ask them questions speculatively about what is in this memo. And the short version is that it appears as though that the federal government itself, all the way up to Barack Obama's cabinet, if not Barack Obama himself, did in fact spy on Donald Trump. That there was an active resistance campaign, not just with Obama's people personally, but with people in their official capacity in government. Now that this memo has been read, now that Sean Hannity has these same congressmen on his show, they all give very, very interesting answers. They refuse to confirm or deny what is in this 4-page memo. And this is really interesting because whereas before they were willing to speculate that this was a conspiracy that ran all the way up to Obama's cabinet, now that they've read it, the fact that they won't confirm or deny anything is really very telling. And it looks as though that perhaps this is not just a conspiracy, that the federal government itself actively spied on a presidential campaign, and it was all based on the other presidential nominees' opposition research, which means people are going to get fired, people are going to go to jail. We've talked about Lisa Page and Peter Strzok and James Comey a lot on this show, and how it really started to look like the fix was in, not only for Hillary in a pro-Hillary sense, but also in a very anti-Donald Trump sense. So, yeah, just let that sink in. Now, what Congress wants to have happen is they want it to be legal for the memo to be released to the public. And the quotes that are coming from the congressman, while they will say, we cannot confirm or deny what is in this 4-page memo, what we can say is that it is literally one of the most upsetting things we have ever read, that it would be one of the top 10 scandals ever that the U.S. federal government has ever been involved in. So, yeah, release the memo.
So, the idea, to put this in perspective, if it is the case that the memo shows that Obama or his administration, his cabinet, were involved in this and essentially weaponized the U.S. intelligence forces, U.S. intelligence services, against a political opponent, this would be the equivalent of, if you take Watergate, take the example of Watergate, where what Nixon really got in trouble for was trying to cover up for some people doing some shady shit on his behalf. But the thing about the shady shit they were doing is they had broken into the DNC headquarters to find evidence to prove that the Democrats were doing some shady shit. This is the equivalent of them having been busted planting the evidence, going into the headquarters of the opposition party in order to manufacture the allegation that the shady shit was going on. Right? Now let me show you something. I'm going to show you something interesting. We've had a lot of problem with leaks coming out of the government lately. Okay, I'll address those comments in a minute. We've had a lot of problems with leaks coming out of the government ever since Obama evacuated the White House and left behind his shadow government operators. Now, let me show you something interesting real quick. I Googled House memo leaked. Well, let's see. We've got leaked memo shows White House doesn't really want a Dreamer deal. Leaked memo reveals White House wish list crooked media. Leaked White House memo details Puerto Rico spin. White House memo against leaks gets leaked. I shit you not. That's a headline. Leaked White House memo outlines this. Leaked memo, childhood, the lunch tray. I mean, essentially, every memo that happens has been getting leaked. So, when we say release the memo, it's not just a question of whether or not the American people deserve to know what's in it. We've got active operatives in our government right now who are going out of their way to breach national security for the explicit purpose of harming the President of the United States of America. But they haven't leaked this memo. For some reason, somehow, this one hasn't been leaked yet.
Well, there's a theory for why this memo hasn't been leaked.
You keep talking for a minute. We're redlining on audio, so I'm going to go turn the gain down.
There's a theory on why this memo hasn't been leaked. And the theory is that it is so damaging that it would cause so much damage to the faith in the American system and the entire way we gather intelligence, that it would be less destructive to actually keep it secret and live a lie than have the truth come out, because of the utter devastation that would come about from knowing the truth that's in the memo. This is not theoretically the CIA and the FBI and various government agencies might have been used to smear a political opponent. This is not only were the official levers of government used to do it, but everybody was in on it. And why? Because Trump is a boorish cretin who doesn't deserve to be anywhere near the White House and the good old boys club and everything else. And Chris brought up Nixon. What Nixon was involved in was terrible. But Nixon himself was only involved in the cover-up. Nixon found out about the activities of his buddy after the fact. And this is a huge point to make, because this would be like Nixon ordered his buddies to take their badges and use them to commit illegal activities. What Nixon's buddies did is took the illegal activities on their own, and then after Nixon found out about it, he tried to sweep it under the rug. If this shakes out the way that it is being implied that it will shake out, this would be like, not only did Obama know, but he encouraged it, even safeguarded it. Now, I don't think it'll land on Obama unless it explicitly says Obama's name in this memo. But this sort of thing can't happen without the head of the FBI, the head of the CIA, and people in the cabinet knowing that it's going on. Because in order to move these levers of government, there's only a few people that have got the authorization to do it. So it's terrifying. It really is.
Yeah, just to kind of elaborate on what you're saying. Between James Comey's testimonies, the tarmac meeting with Lynch and Slick Willie, and the testimonies from even from Mueller previously, and from Daddy Dern to Daddy Durfee and Daddy Dirk CIA, the testimonies that we've had before the House Intelligence Committee from those guys, especially from James Comey, coupled with the fact that not only did James Comey step out of line, go above and beyond his pay grade and his position to exonerate Hillary Clinton, in stark contrast to what the purview of his office happens to be. But we now have incontrovertible evidence that he drafted the memorandum to exonerate her before they began the investigation, or before the investigation had begun in earnest. Certainly before he or any of his agents had interviewed Hillary Clinton. He had drafted the memo to exonerate her. So what this memo that is not being released yet contains is not evidence that the intelligence system, the intelligence community, was leveraged to conduct this operation, to illegally conduct the surveillance and smear campaign on a political opponent. That is already incontrovertibly the case. We know that to be true. The only thing that we expect to find out from this memo, and hope to find out from this memo, and hope to see action taken on, is the extent of the corruption, the height that it reached to. How far up the cabinet did it go? And buddy, let me tell you what, I won't be able to roll out of bed for a month if they lock up Comey, Lynch, Obama, Hillary. Yeah, let's Slick Willie just let him die. He's done. Just let him go. He'll stumble off and, well, he'll probably roll out of bed and break a hip, and he won't know what to do. He'll be done. Now, what are they saying? Rolling Stone. What's the conspiracy behind the right-wing meme? Oh.
While Chris is looking that up, Lindsay made a comment. Oh, you've already looked it up.
It's done. I'm ready. Baby, I did preparation work. Go ahead.
So, Lindsay, to your comment, did Trump create this memo? No. It would be so foolish to take that line, because there are certain things that are just very difficult to fake. And these sorts of memos are very difficult to fake. It'd be like you write a note on FBI letterhead. Well, the only place you can get FBI letterhead is from the actual FBI. So if this 4-page memo is sourced accurately, it will be something that is inarguable. And the reason why I think whatever in it is so damning is because the Democrats don't want any of it released. They're terrified of it coming out. And the reason why they're terrified of it coming out is because it is very literally a smoking gun in this situation. And if you remember back to about a year ago when Trump accused Barack Obama of wiretapping Trump Tower, a funny thing happened that a lot of people don't know about. Trump's original transition office was actually in Trump Tower. And around the time he made this accusation of wiretapping, he moved his entire campaign and transition staff out of Trump Tower and moved most of them to Mar-a-Lago. Now, why would he do that? Well, if he was actually being spied on in Trump Tower, that would be an excellent reason to move all of your people out of Trump Tower, because they're being spied on. So while I appreciate it, and I understand exactly why you would say, oh, they're just going to blame Trump. You know, this is not one of those things they'll be able to...
Hey, baby.
Oh, hey, look. But this is the exact sort of thing that is almost impossible to fake. To fake this would be such a conspiracy. Yeah, we know. Everybody does. In order for Trump to fake this, I mean, we're talking about near impossible.
HP Canhas BTC retracted a message.
It was just lol.
Oh.
It was just laugh out loud. I don't know why he, or she, or
Zer. So, Rolling Stone. On a day like Friday, when a shutdown looming in DACA and the balance and Chuck Schumer huddling with President Trump in the White House, you might, Jesus Christ, who hires these writers?
Rolling Stone?
Apparently. You might logically expect right-wing Twitter to be blowing up. I'm going to read that again. You might logically expect right-wing Twitter to be blowing up. Now, let's be clear here. Jack Dorsey has been called out numerous times on the left-wing bias of Twitter. This was printed 2 days ago. This article was printed 2 days ago. It has been 2.5 weeks since James O'Keefe released his latest blockbuster that caught Twitter and Google engineers admitting to active shadow banning operations. So the closest thing I can think of to a right-wing Twitter is minds.com. And let me tell you something. Right-wing ain't the word. So, you know what I'm saying? The memo in quotes. Okay, so we've got the quotes here. Is it not a memorandum? Do we question if... So, this cat doesn't question whether or not the document exists, but whether or not it's a memorandum. And goes on to berate Sean Hannity for having a host calling this saying that this is going to be worse than Watergate. Of course, we've got Adam Schiff just screaming about, oh, the memo's just a joke. It's just a joke. There's nothing in this. Blah 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 blah. Let's see. Adam Schiff. How many times has he lied? It's just constantly. Since March, our investigation has made important progress. We've interviewed numerous key witnesses behind closed doors, held public hearings, reviewed thousands of documents, identified new leads, all to understand and expose Russia's meddling and protect our democracy. Okay, so first things first. Bullshit. You may have interviewed a shitload of people, but made progress? You've issued 2 indictments from grand juries that, to quote the old adage, a grand jury will indict a ham sandwich. So after SWAT raiding and just madness, absolute abuses of your authority and power, you've managed to issue 2 indictments over menial process charges, made zero intelligible connections, gone so far as to bring in speakers from Facebook to testify about the Russian troll bot farms that apparently were just spamming the ever-loving shit out of America with pro-Trump, anti-Hillary propaganda to swing the election. So they started off saying that the Russians hacked the election. And then immediately they had to retract that. Okay, no, not a single U.S. vote was affected. But fake news. You get the Facebook exec in there. Yeah, so less than 1% of all posts on Facebook were originated in Russia, or all posts relating to Trump and Hillary were related to Russia. Well,
I'd just like to interject and say, that's a hell of a ham sandwich.
Yeah, Lindsay, that's a ham sandwich that has alfalfa bean sprouts on it. Served hot. A raspberry vinaigrette, because blood. So, you've got nothing, Chucky. Or Adam Schiff, you've got nothing. Now, that shitty website is trying to... BuzzFeed, Republican memo is newest shot in the partisan battle over the Trump-Russia probe. Now, do yourselves a favor. A lot less than 1%, woman. I'm not going to look it up right now. I'm running off the top of my head. You're pretty. But yeah, do yourself a favor and Google "release the memo." This is what comes up. BuzzFeed, fuck Trump. Washington Times, fuck Trump. There's the release the memo thing. CNN, House Intelligence Committee can make Nunez FISA memo public. So now these guys are talking about the FISA memo. They're calling it the FISA memo because thank you, woman. They're talking about the FISA memo because some of the speculation is the only reason that Donald Trump doesn't just wave his magic pen and decide to declassify the document and release it to the public generally is because there's something in the FISA warrant that is damning to the administration. I find that kind of hard to believe. Now,
well, can I interject?
Go ahead.
I actually think it's Trump playing the game, because if he declassifies the memo, they're going to accuse him of having a conflict of interest. But if an independent committee looks at the evidence and says, holy shit, we've got to make this information public, well, Trump gets to Pontius Pilate the whole situation. Well, hey, I didn't declassify it. Everybody else thought that it was so terrible, they decided to declassify it. I mean, this is a man that throws every poll in your face when it's going his way. This is a man that threw all of the election results in your face every single time he won. And I think he's content to let this play because he knows he's not guilty of treason. And even if there is damaging stuff that comes out in these memos, I don't know, maybe he really did fool around with the porn star or something ridiculous like that. Maybe even he's got friends and family that do have mob connections. All of that's very possible. But what's not going to come out in this memo is that Trump committed treason. What is going to come out in this memo is evidence that somebody within our government conspired against a duly elected presidential candidate.
And to support that point, let me take you back to a few minutes earlier in the show when I showed you this is what you find if you search House memos leaked. If this memo actually contained damning information that proved Trump colluded with Russia or proved treason or even just proved the appearance of impropriety, that shit would be front page everything. There's just no question. Every senator in most of the House has been allowed to read it now. Okay, that means that all the Democrats have taken a moment and stepped back and said, we don't want the Americans to see this, so we're going to go out and give interviews and say that it's a big nothing burger and there's nothing here to be seen. Oh, Legion. I'm gonna leave that one for you, sweetheart.
Nope.
Because I'm not a football guy.
Basically, Tom Brady looks like he's running out of fingers to put Super Bowl rings on because the Patriots are going back to the Super Bowl in 2 weeks. Yeah.
Oh. I tell you what, Legion, I'll make you a deal. You get your happy ass up here for the Super Bowl. I'll make guac and hot wings, and we will live stream us watching the Super Bowl. We'll take a trip up to the Growler Bar beforehand. I dare you.
I like everything about that plan.
I thought you might.
Did you just say football, chicken wings, guacamole, and craft beer?
Fuck yeah.
Is there any way we could throw some titties into that? Because that would make it perfect.
Oh, my wife's watching. Love you, baby.
Doesn't have to be those titties. You just took this to a really awkward place.
You just took it. No.
You took it to the awkward place.
You took it to an awkward place. You're talking about us throwing titties in the situation while my wife's watching the show, son. Okay, just be here. Be here.
Yeah. Moving on.
Wow, there's a busted train of thought. Okay, so the government got shut down. Whoa!
Yes!
Whoa! Shoot, buddy. Thanks for backing me up on the titties and beer, Lindsay. I appreciate that. Government got shut down. Good. Fucking keep it that way. What happens when the government gets shut down? We send home all the non-essential services.
But the essential services.
Essential.
Did you get mail today?
I got mail today.
Not today, because
today's Sunday. But we got mail yesterday. I know, because I watched the girl miss a mailbox and go down the street, turn around, and come back. Twice. So we got mail yesterday. I didn't get my parts from the VA that I've been waiting for yet, but that's a whole nother bowl of government fuck all.
So the military's still shooting people?
Army's still shooting people. Now, there was a month while I was in Afghanistan that Obama didn't pay us. And I sat down and stopped shooting people for most of that month. But I did get back paid. Now, it was inconvenient because I had to tell my utilities and my rent that they were also going to get back paid, but they did. It happened. But let me just reiterate that Barack Obama decided not to pay me 1 month while I was in Afghanistan, paying for your freedom. I wasn't happy about that shit. Now, DoD civilians and contractors, they do all right. They do all right. Little government shutdown ain't going to kill them. And let's not forget, unlike Barry Hussein Obama, the Donalds people have decided to authorize the forward pay. What's it called?
Oh, you're talking about the carry forward funds.
Carry forward funds.
Yeah, Mick Mulvaney, director of the OMB, basically the guy that handles the budget and the office that handles the budget, gave a very telling press conference. He's worked in the budget office for several years, including under Obama. And while he never exactly precisely blamed Obama for the decisions that Obama made, he did imply that there was a lot of latitude that the administration has. In other words, all these agencies have got lines of credit, cash surpluses, things like that. They can continue to pay their bills during a government shutdown. And Mick Mulvaney's made it very clear that these carry forward funds will be used so that there is no lapse in the money coming out of the pipe, which I took to mean that Obama maybe made a completely different suggestion. you look good. Yeah, no, just no.
What? Anyway.
Ooh, yeah, Obama phones. Thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah, had to take a bite out of that.
Yeah,
rollover dollars. Rollover dollars. All right, okay, I'm going to go ahead and drop a little truth on you. Baby, talk about rollover dollars. I love you, baby. Take this and write it down. I'm about to drop some wisdom on your asses. There's no such thing as extra money. Just like beans, bullets, and bedrolls, there is only more.
So, yeah.
So.
But Mario makes a fantastic point there. It's almost like he read our mind and knew where we were going to go with this.
Their final form. Chuck U. Schumer has gone Super Saiyan. It's over. The bullshit meter is over 9,000. Shoot, buddy.
So before you tear into this is just, I just want to say completely apolitically, I love a government shutdown. Our system of government was deliberately designed so that a few holdouts could slow down the process of government. And the fact that all money has got to be written in the House and then ratified by the Senate was set up that way absolutely deliberately on purpose, so that in a situation like this, the government could be shut down and you force a compromise on whatever impasse we're at. And I wish there were more government shutdowns. Honestly, I think this is brilliant. It's proof that our system is working correctly. It's not the end of the world by any capacity. You're still going to get your Social Security checks. The mail is still running and all of that good stuff. Like, really, it's fantastic that the government shut down. The problem is, and this is just Trump being brilliant again, the problem is basically the Democrats have got everything they want in the CR, and they're still not going along with the continuing resolution that would fund the government.
Because they got everything they want except for DACA.
Yeah, but DACA is not an issue of the budget.
It's not, but what they wanted was to tie DACA to the budget.
And Trump said,
nope. So, y'all can read along this article, and so all the articles that I popped up tonight, they are linked in the description below. You go check them out for yourselves. I'm not going to waste your time reading them to you, but I'll bring them up so that I can reference particular parts of them. This one, just kind of scan it on the screen there, unless you're watching on your phone, which I recommend against because it's tiny and bad for your eyes. The Republicans just didn't have the votes for the continuing resolution. They could not get it through the House on their own. It would have required a couple of Democrats crossing the aisle to vote across party lines to get it done. Despite that, the Dems made overtures all last week that they would filibuster the CR. And like the last big the big scary shutdown in 2013.
2013.
Yeah, 2013, the big scary shutdown where school children were going to starve to death, and
it was all Ted Cruz's fault.
It was all Ted Cruz's fault, and they shut down all the parks, and we were all asking ourselves the question: wait a minute. If the government's shut down and we don't have any money, how are we paying these contracted security guards to go barricade the parks and stand guard? But if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Probably several more than 1,000 times. I think I've been saying it for 30 years almost. Literally since I was about 7 years old. Democrats don't math. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, there are still people, there are still American citizens who have the right to vote and make decisions that affect the direction of your country, that affect the composition of your government, who believe that Obamacare, that the Affordable Care and Patient Protection Act lowered health care costs. There are people who believe that.
So the government shut down. Just really briefly, I'm going to go into what actually has happened here. Our government has not passed a proper budget in years. The last time a real budget was passed, and a budget is supposed to go from year to year, not from month to month or quarter to quarter. But the last time a real budget was passed was all the way back in 2015. And since then, we have run off of what people refer to as CRs, or continuing resolutions. And what a continuing resolution is it's actually really screwed up. Basically, the government just says, okay, for 30 days, we're going to authorize a near limitless amount of money to continue funding the government while we work on the real budget. It's really spooky if you think about it, because you can hide a lot of bullshit in CR after CR after CR after CR, because you don't have to follow normal budget rules. An actual budget is going to get scored by the CBO. A CR is not. It's like sticking your hole in the finger in the dam. And that's really what it is.
I just got this visual. Walking up to the dike with a little Dutch boy stuck in it and shooting around through his finger with a nail gun.
That's really dark, dude.
As soon as I said that, the image turned into the little Dutch boy being crammed feet first into the hole, and he's just like hanging out of the dike in a bad mood.
Did you still shoot the nail into him?
No. Maybe. I might have to put him out of his misery.
So, conveniently, despite the fact that for the duration of the entire Trump presidency, we've run off of continuing resolutions, and the vast majority of Obama's presidency, we ran off of continuing resolutions, suddenly, all of the sudden, just conveniently, suddenly, now we just can't do CRs anymore. CRs are bad, and we've got to tie things like DACA to them and stuff like that. And it just so happened to super duper conveniently fall on the 1-year anniversary of Trump's inauguration. And please believe that Nancy Pelosi and her ilk have made a lot of political hay out of this. Because a few years ago, Trump even tweeted out that a government shutdown is the president's fault for not showing proper leadership. So they're really trying to stick Donald Trump and the Republicans in general with the bag on this. And what's really, really interesting about it is, of all people, the most responsible for it, it's actually going to be Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Good old Chuck U. So, as Chris mentioned, they're just trying to tie DACA to the current continuing resolution, which Trump said that he would sign compromise legislation on, by the way, as soon as the CR is off his desk. He's not going to tie the two issues together, and he's made that clear from the beginning. This is a point that the Democrats pressed. Now, what's super ironic about it is just a few years ago, Chuck Schumer actually said point blank that to shut down the government over an issue such as illegal immigration would be irresponsible. And yet, here we are. The political winds have shifted. They feel like they've got this golden opportunity to make Trump look like a shitburger, and now they're going to shut down the government over the DACA kids. And as Mario pointed out, it's their final form. They care more about protecting illegals than they do properly funding the government. And not that a CR properly funds the government, but I guess you could argue that it's better than what we have now. But I hope this goes on for months. I really do. I would love to see Trump just continue to hold the line. Because in the CR, a lot of what the Democrats wanted was funding for things like S-CHIP, which is a thing that helps provide funds for health care for children. And there's a lot of liberal things included in the CR, all of which Donald Trump has said he will sign, but he's not going to tie DACA to it. And the reason is because they have been working on DACA. Basically, the DACA bill is not ready. And the DACA bill is not ready because Donald Trump has made it very clear that he will not sign DACA compromise if there is no wall and if there is not severe limitations, if not outright restrictions, placed on chain migration. And so to tie these things together, to deliberately try and jam an issue through the way that the Democrats are trying to do is disingenuous, it's hypocritical, and it really is political opportunism at its most cynical level. They just wanted to be able to say on the 1-year anniversary of Trump's inauguration that Trump is a shitty leader. But actually, I think this is brilliant. This reminds me of the Paris Climate Accords, where Trump was like, no, totally, climate change is real, and it's awful, and it's all these terrible things. We'll get right back into the Paris Climate Accords. Just write up a version that doesn't screw over the United States. And that is exactly what he's doing here. He's exposing themselves. He's forcing the Democrats to expose themselves. They don't actually care about the issues on the moral plane that they claim to. Instead, it is all about the political brinksmanship. Some time ago, while Bill Clinton was president, he actually had face-to-face talks with Yasser Arafat. And at one point in time in these negotiations, Bill Clinton offered Arafat damn near everything he was asking for. And Arafat walked away from the negotiation table. Because for Arafat, it was about the continued struggle. That's what fed his power. The chaos was good for him. To quote Littlefinger, chaos is a ladder. And that is exactly what the Democrats are doing here. They don't actually want to win on DACA, because if they win on DACA, then they lose a leverage point. They know they'll have to sacrifice something in order to get what they want. So that's what's going on here. So please, let the government stay shut down, please. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Because if they're not in session, they're not screwing things up. It just is what it is.
And let me just, I want to correct something you said about Schumer. The way you said it, we talked about this earlier. What Schumer said was to shut down the government over a political argument is irresponsible. And we would never do that over something like, for example, immigration. He said we would never do that. And then he used the example, for example, something like immigration. So there you go, Chuck U. Schumer. Now, on the DACA kids, and I think this is going to be about it before I wrap it up. I'm about to call it a night.
Lindsay needs to step up her comment game because Mario just crushed it.
For Trump to surrender his ace in the hole prior to the flop. God, their shit might
work with Turtle Boy and Count Chocula, but not Donnie Two Scoops.
That cut tier shit might work with Turtle Boy and Count Chocula, but not with Donnie Two Scoops.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. It was just such a beautiful comment. Like
if the Trump had a gang sign, it would be this. Donnie Two Scoops. Anyway, the DACA kids. So they keep talking about the DACA kids. Whenever anybody talks about the whole DACA thing, they talk about the DACA kids. And the reason they talk about the DACA kids is to lie. If anybody uses the phrase DACA kids, you can bet that just about every other word that comes out of their mouth after that will also be a lie. When they talk about the DACA kids, the Democrats want you to think about the 4 brown children in the Gillespie ad running from the scary redneck with the Gadsden flag on the front of his truck and the Confederate battle flag on the back of his Ford pickup truck and the Gillespie sticker on his bumper, chasing these 4 brown kids like he's going to run them over as if he were some kind of a terrorist in a love truck. Because let's be real, we've had a whole lot of white people get run over by brown people in trucks, but I haven't seen a whole lot of white guys running over brown people in trucks in the news the last couple of years. Just saying, somebody's lying. And with the DACA kids,
Well, they're not really kids.
When DACA was illegally put into place as an executive order external to the authority of the president signing, 5 years, is it 5 years now?
It was, I want to say 2013.
So yeah, five years ago. The law applies to 16 to 30-year-olds. There are no DACA kids.
The vast majority of them are, in fact, adults.
The vast majority of them are over the age of 20. And only half of them are from Hispanic countries, let alone Mexico. The other 50%, roughly, are actually European immigrants, Middle Eastern, African, and Asian immigrants. So about half of them are from Latin American countries, Hispanic countries, Mexico. But, no, dear, it was not the Dodge Ram of Peace. It was a Ford pickup truck, a lot like mine. It was a lot like the Ford pickup truck in my driveway with the MAGA hat sitting in it.
Oh. Wow.
But, damn it, woman.
Chris was on a roll.
I was nailing it. I was killing it. There are no DACA kids. The DACA kids are all grown-ass men and women. Half of them aren't brown. And, well, of the half that aren't Mexican, a lot of them are the wrong kind of brown, apparently. Because as has clearly been indicated by the Shithole Countries commentary, Democrats are racist against Asians and white people. And boy, oh boy, is that going to be a big chunk of conversation going forward. So, Cameron, unless you've got anything else to add, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it for this week.
No, just hashtag shut it down.
Hashtag keep it shut down.
Love it.
Hashtag about to shut this down. And I'm about to stop doing the bullshit hashtag joke because it always aggravates me. Except for the one, I got one last hashtag joke that I enjoy, and that's the pound me too. Love that one. But outside of pound me too, let me say this. I am going to try to do a lot more live streams just throughout the week. I will not do one every day this week, but that's what I want to get to. I want to build up a head of steam and start throwing a much shorter episode. I'm not going to do an hour every day, but I'm going to build up to trying to do at least a little bit of a 5-10 minute live stream. So, if you come across an article that just needs to be dissected by the master, go ahead and send it to the show at brushfiremind.com, and I'll keep an eyeball out for it. Or you can send it to me as a link on Twitter. Use hashtag BFM articles and send it at brushfiremind. I'll keep an eyeball out for that, and I'll hop on that. No, I didn't fix the damn typo yet, Legion. It's tricky. Because it's not, I can't just type it out. I've got to actually remake the whole, because it's a video clip. I got to redo the whole edit. It's a pain in the ass. Anyway, we love you. We need you to keep watching. We appreciate you. I saw a couple of new faces in the chat this evening. Had a nice busy chat. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. And until then, remember, if you build a man a fire, you'll keep him warm for the evening. But if you set a man on fire, he'll be warm for the rest of his life. Good night. No, I can't fix it while I'm talking. I got a coffee cup in this hand and an operating tablet in this hand. So no, I can't fucking fix it while I'm talking. I love you.